So this is escalation. It will cause more tensions with the countries that rely on Russian and Ukrainian grain. But I think, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that there will be strikes, because both countries will now find it very difficult to ensure shipping vessels that can take produce out of their ports.
There's been a sharp increase in global wheat prices after Russia threatened to treat Ukrainian grain ships as military targets. Russia's been bombarding Ukraine's grain facilities for the past 3 nights after pulling out of a UN deal that ensured safe passage for shipments across the Black Sea. The Times assistant foreign editor Maxim Tucker joins us this morning from Kyiv. Maxim, good morning.
Good morning.
So a third night of attacks by Russia on the ports, and really disrupting, of course, efforts to export grain from Ukraine. What is the identifiable, if there indeed there is one, strategy here from Russia? Why is this happening?
I think it is an identifiable strategy now, because we've seen a third night of attacks on food silos, and it's also, as well as wheat, it's corn and peas last night, thousands of tons of agricultural produce. This is, I think, a strategy to strangle Ukraine's economy. Ukraine has already shifted much of its economy to agriculture because its manufacturing base has been destroyed by missile strikes. So Ukraine relies on agriculture for 70% of its exports, that up from 40% before the war. And Russia is clearly seeing that this is a way to kill off Ukraine's economy.
One analysis I was quite interested in was whether this could backfire against Russia. So you mentioned the economy of Ukraine. There's also a suggestion that it could be trying to undermine support from Western allies. But another analysis is that perhaps Putin's actions could not only threaten global food security, but could cause concern in China, could strain relations with Turkey, and indeed with African countries as well. What's your take on that, Maxim?
Yeah, I mean, it's a way to create a wedge between some European countries that have actually banned imports of Ukrainian grain at a time when Ukraine really needs them. It's done that, Poland and Hungary have done this because they feel that the Ukrainian grain is undercutting their own markets. And Russia is ratcheting up the pressure and that disagreement now by making sure Ukraine can't sell grain any other way. I think it's also, it's going to put pressure on relationships with African countries, and that may backfire on Russia. But I think the main goal here is to make sure that Ukraine is not a functioning state anymore.
And there is resolve in the face of the attacks, the threats from Russia. President Zelensky vowing that his country would continue to export grain. And so there is something of a feeling of tension or indeed escalation in this, is there not? Because when we witness the attacks of the last few nights, President Zelensky says this: it's almost a challenge to Russia to stop the vessels and face potential consequences.
Yeah, it's an interesting pledge, because Ukraine, I think, will struggle to find insurers and ships that will be willing. I mean, most of these are international ships that are going and collecting grain and other produce from Ukraine. So I think even if Zelensky wants to continue the deal, there will be few commercial providers willing to take that risk. So, there is a challenge if they do get some boats across and then Russia sinks some. That is a significant escalation. That Russia is waging war on commercial shipping. And that probably wouldn't go down very well for Russia. But, also Ukraine has retaliated by issuing the same threat to Russia, saying that Ukraine will also now consider Russian vessels operating in the Azov Sea as a legitimate target, even if they're grain vessels. So this is escalation. It will cause more tensions with the countries that rely on Russian and Ukrainian grain. But I think, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that there will be strikes, because both countries will now find it very difficult to ensure shipping vessels that can take produce out of their ports.
Maxim, thank you very much. Thank you for your analysis. We really appreciate that. Maxim Tucker, thank you, is the Times assistant foreign editor reporting from Kyiv. Just another line from you on